Aloha Trinity Ohana. In today's quick and possibly final video devotion, I'd like to do a brief lesson on humility from Isaiah chapter 49. It is a passage addressing the promised return of Israel from exile, which, as I have said, has some unique applications for us during this season of living in COVID-19 quarantine and isolation. Some of those lessons from exile, I believe, are particularly of value to us. The exiles were called to be humble, to seek out true confession of their own sins, to cry out to the Lord for deliverance, and to live in peace with their neighbors. And I believe these are all very applicable and dear lessons for us to learn in this season of ours. So this is Isaiah chapter 49, verses 8 through 16. Thus says the Lord, in a time of favor I have answered you. In a day of salvation I have helped you. I will keep you and give you as a covenant to the people, to establish the land, to apportion the desolate heritages, saying to the prisoners, come out. To those who are in darkness, appear. They shall feed along the ways. On all bare heights shall there be pasture. They shall not hunger or thirst. Neither scorching wind nor sun shall strike them. For he who has pity on them will lead them, and by springs of water will guide them. And I will make all my mountains a road, and my highways shall be raised up. Behold, these shall come from afar, and behold, these from the north and from the west, and these from the land of Syene. Sing for joy, O heavens, and exult, O earth. Break forth, O mountains, into singing. For the Lord has comforted his people, and will have compassion on his afflicted. But Zion said, the Lord has forsaken me, my Lord has forgotten me. Can a woman forget her nursing child, that she should have no compassion on the son of her womb? Even these may forget, yet I will not forget you. Behold, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are continually before me. This prophecy is filled with all sorts of imagery of nature submitting to God's will in order that his people would, with success, return to the promised land. Nothing would hinder them from returning home. God would, as it were, using the language of the prophecy, level every mountain. He would make every highway be raised up. It would be a straight path home. God rules nature, and nothing in nature, which is under the command of his voice, could prevent his people from returning home. Isaiah then, in response to this, names a potential fear of Israel. The Lord has forsaken me. The Lord has forgotten me. Joel and I have a joke about a man that we know who is a brilliant man, a great man, but who has a habit of forgetting people he meets. It's kind of funny. I've had long conversations with this man and gotten to know him fairly well. And even in a time fairly recently when I was in his company, after talking with him for a bit, he said, well, it was nice to meet you. It's funny because thankfully I am not very tempted to have my security tied to this man remembering me. If it was someone else, someone with whom I had a close relationship, then maybe it would hurt a little bit. How could you forget me? But when separated from God's people, or when going through a time of particular deeply rooted anxiety, the fear of being forgotten or the fear of not being remembered can be a palpable fear. I wonder if some of us are struggling with something similar during this time when we're not able to gather with God's people in worship. We may feel far from him. If that is you, then would you know the lesson that comes from this? That God cannot forget you. He will never forget you. He rules over all of nature. Indeed, he rules over the COVID-19 process and every branch of government and every decision made from every legislator and member of the executive branch of state and country alike. He rules over them and he remembers you. And did you hear the way that the Lord answered that potential fear of Israel, that the Lord has forgotten me? Can a woman forget her nursing child, that she should have no compassion on the son of her womb? And then he goes on to say, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. What imagery. Even in exile, God is saying, I love you, and I am with you in the most intimate and undeniable ways. It is a beautiful picture. And here, I believe, is the great lesson for us from Isaiah chapter 49. God's love and covenant faithfulness works into our hearts humility. I believe that we should grow in humility. I pray that we grow in humility during this period of our lives. Humility is the opposite of pride. It is the opposite of the obsession with self. Humility focuses not on our own name, our own fame, the perception we feel others have of us. Humility is founded upon God's unwavering approval of us in Jesus Christ, the one whose hands were pierced for us and who was forsaken by God for us. And so the approval of others is not an object of our attention. This is what the great John Calvin wrote about humility in his commentary on the Synoptic Gospels. That man is truly humble who neither claims any personal merit in the sight of God, nor proudly despises brothers, or aims at being thought superior to them, but reckons it enough that he is one of the members of Christ, and desires nothing more than that the head alone should be exalted. So as we near the time when we will once again be able to be gathered together by God as a people and worship Him through word and sacrament, celebrating these ordinary means of grace as a people, let us be humble, joyfully humble, not focusing on our own merit, very practically not focusing on how well we believe we have behaved during the COVID-19 season or behaved in other times. Let us not be looking down at our noses at how we perceive our brothers or sisters have behaved during this time of COVID-19. Let us not look to them and compare them to ourselves, lest we fall into pride. Let us not aim to be thought of as superior to anyone else in any sphere of life, but rather let us rejoice that we are members of the very body of Jesus Christ. Let us rejoice that we are received because of what Christ has done. His merit has earned us our standing in Him, our membership in Him. And likewise, let us desire that He receive all glory, all honor, all praise, because He deserved it. He deserves it due to His great work for us on the cross. Humility, it's a beautiful character trait. Let us value it as such. Let us strive to be a humble people. Let us strive to mirror and reflect the humility of the Lord Jesus Christ and rest in Him. I want to thank you for joining us for these video devotions. We do not know what the future is going to be regarding them. I would much rather, and I look forward with great anticipation to be able to do these types of things in person with you once again. But until then, God bless you, and we'll see you soon.